All right, Liz, Mark, you guys able to see the slides?
Yes, sir.
All
Yes.
right, let's go ahead and get started. All right, everyone, good afternoon. It's officially 2 minutes after 12, and welcome to the YK Communications Connect and Protect Lunch and Learn web series. Today, it's our August webinar, and we're going to be talking about back to school safety, from online monitoring to reliable connections. You guys that have joined us here before, you know me, you know Liz, but hello, welcome back. I'm Russell Cottrell, president here at YK Communications, and we're glad to have you spending your lunch break with us as we know that everybody's kind of gearing up to go back to school, has already started school, and we're going to talk about some safety things around that. Liz, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
All right. My name is Elizabeth Gert, and I'm with the YK sales team. We all know this year brings a lot of packed schedules, some new supply lists, new school routines, and also new worries. So we're here to help you out from your child's safety on the bus to not having to worry about what TikTok videos they're watching and everything else that's on all the parents' minds out there.
Absolutely. And I'll get into a little more in-depth introduction, but we're super excited to have someone who I've considered somewhat of a local celebrity. We were just talking as we were logging in here. We've got Mark Biskup, or as we talked about, everybody kind of knows him as Officer Biskup, and he shared with me also known as the dog guy or dog man. But we're glad to have you, Mark, and I'll give you an official introduction here in a second when we get started. But let's go ahead and kick things off and talk a little bit, or I'll go over real quick the agenda. We're going to talk about the safety landscape out there, what's going on right now. We'll have Officer Biskup give his presentation, and then Liz and I are going to talk a little bit about practical solutions that we've got here at YK, some things like Experience IQ, Bark, Arlo, just to kind of help protect everyone as we get back into the swing of things for back to school. And then we've got an opportunity for Q&A. If you guys have questions throughout the webinar, feel free to drop those into the chat or the Q&A box. Liz and I will see those. We'll answer those for you. So feel free to participate and ask those questions. And then we'll finish up by talking about what we've got planned for September. We've got a promotional offering, and then we've got a gift card so that you guys can have lunch on us. So we'll jump right into kind of the safety landscape. So we're going to step back for a moment. The average school age kid now is spending about 7 to 9 hours a day online. And that's not just for school, but that's gaming, social media, entertainment, just about anything and everything. We're looking at about 7 to 9 hours a day.
Wow. That's a lot of time spent online, especially whenever most of that time a day is spent at school. So while the internet can be a great tool, it can also expose kids to cyberbullying, online predators, and age-inappropriate content. And the scary part about that is oftentimes parents don't even realize it may be happening.
That's right. And I was thinking about it, Liz. One of the things that's different from, way back in the day when you and I went to school versus now, if we dealt with any bullying or any situation like that went on at school, it was kind of from that 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. After that, you went home and kind of got a chance to reset. I think what's different for young people right now is that with those devices and that level of connectivity, it never stops. It's always on. And so, that's one of the things that we talk about cyberbullying is it's 24/7. It's not anything that they get to go home and get a complete break from it. But that's why we're here today. We're talking about tools, strategies that you can use to create a safer, more connected school year digitally and physically. So before we introduce and pass it over to Officer Biskup, let's do a quick poll and kind of see what everybody's thinking for their biggest concern for the school year this year. So we've got, is it online activity or screen time that everybody's worried about? Is it cyberbullying or online predators? Maybe you're worried about physical safety at home or school. And maybe it's just juggling all those schedules for those after school events and routines. Or maybe it's too much and you're just not sure. So we'll give everybody a chance to answer that real quick and tell us what everyone's number one concern is. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close that out, share those results. And so we've got a little bit of mix on this one. We've got about 20% worried about online activity and screen time limits, 40% that are worried about cyberbullying and online predators, and then juggling schedules and after school routines tied at 40%. And man, I get that. If there's anything that I've been dreading about the school year getting started, it's just how busy things get and how much that activity picks up. So let's get back over to our presentation. And I would like to officially welcome Officer Mark Biskup, longtime leader in our local law enforcement community. Mark has served over 30 years with the Campo Police Department, including patrol, community service, and most recently, captain over investigations. And like we were talking about before we got started, Officer Biskup was a household name for our kids whenever they were growing up, from school presentations to being at the Boy Scout Pinewood Derbies. So like I said, when I say somewhat of a local celebrity, definitely with our young ones. But since then, retiring in December 2023, Mark has taken on a new role as the Director of Safety, Security, and Student Affairs at St. Philip's Catholic School in El Campo. Mark works on the front lines of student safety every day, and he'll be sharing some real-world insight on threats students face online and how schools and families can respond. So, Mark, the floor is all yours, and we appreciate you being here and sharing with us.
Thank you, Mr. Kocher. I appreciate it. First off, I'm honored to be a part of this. I think what you're doing here for the community is something that's pretty valuable. A lot of people have a lot of questions about the internet, some of the dangers of it, but they either don't know who to ask or they're too embarrassed to ask. So when I do these programs, I know that we're geared toward the kids, the students, but I also like to take just a few minutes to talk about, concerns adults may have and some warnings for those adults to try to keep everybody safe, because I've had friends who've been victims of internet crimes. And it's usually sometimes geared more toward the elderly, because these con artists, they use the internet and they create commercials, or they create opportunities for people to simply click on it, and they start reading things, and these potential victims end up giving them information they shouldn't be giving. And long before you know it, they've got credit cards that's in their names being used, and the victims never know it until they try to go get a loan or make a payment, or their bank account is dried up. And so that's what this will be about today.
Awesome. Yeah, and you're right. It's not just for the young ones. It's anybody can be a victim from any of that.
Yes, sir. All right. So first off, the biggest way not to become a victim is not to give out your personal information to people or companies that you yourself did not look up or researched yourself. If a company out of the blue sends you something over the internet, and even though it sounds too good to be true, people will still give that information out because they think they're getting a deal. And that can be a problem, because when you give out that personal information, just like I said, they'll get that connected to your bank, or they get it put into a credit card, and they will use all the information that you've given them to benefit them. And sad thing is people won't know it until their bank account is either dry, or they've try to get a loan and they can't because of their credit score is so bad. And they're like, what are you talking about? And then they do some investigating, and then they find out what happened. But it's usually 6 to 7 months later on the average. And by that time, it's just too late, trying to catch the bad guy who had done it. When it comes to speaking to people on the internet, I tell them that unless you know that person personally, you really don't know who you're talking to. That's why when I tell people that best way to do it is to FaceTime them or Zoom, so you can actually see a human being on the other side of that screen. Do not agree to stuff such as car warranties or anything like that, insurance policies, unless you get the entire thing in writing. And just really be suspicious if you didn't seek out that company too. They will create these documents and everything else that looks 100% exactly like that real company. That's how good these people are. And people just don't think twice about it, and they should. So just get everything in writing you can if you decide that you're going to go with a contract of any kind. Another thing is a lot of people will sell stuff over the internet. And what we tell people is that it's best not to meet anybody in a sales unless you go to a law enforcement agency, is what we recommend. I know that here at the Campo Police Department, we have specific parking spots in the front of our police department where our cameras are in plain view, that if people are going to meet up and do an exchange of goods for money, that's where they meet. That way, if anything bad happens, we have it on camera. And I don't think some bad guy is going to try to do what we call a rip or rip someone off in the front parking lot of a police department with cameras everywhere. So that's why I tell people, don't go to houses. They say, hey, let's meet at Walmart. Let's meet at HEB. I'm sorry, it's still an opportunity for someone to take advantage of you. And it's just not safe. That's why I recommend everybody to go to a law enforcement agency if at all possible.
Right. And back on your first bullet point, we talk about don't share personal information. I think a good reminder for folks, especially with back to school right now, we all love to post those first day of school pictures. And I know there's a lot of concerns around, sharing that information of what school they're attending, their, names, what grade they're in, things like that. You want to be careful how much information you share out there on the internet.
Yes, sir. And I'll cover that in just a little bit.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh, let's see. Did I go? Okay, here, we're back on track.
All right. Never install software or buy anything except through a legitimate company. A lot of times when you're on your computer, you'll see these pop-ups. And a lot of times people will look at it and be like, well, yeah, I need to do an update. Or they'll see something else pop up and they'll be like, well, yeah, I'll click on that. Or they search something, and when they search it, they click on the first thing. You have to be careful, because when you research stuff, like if you want to buy something, the first thing that usually pops up is an ad, and that ad is not secure. So what I tell people is that when you research something, make sure that it has HTTP and that S in it. The S means that company, that website is secure, and it's more or less a legitimate company. A lot of times the very first thing that pops up won't have that S. It means it's not secure. Other people can access it, and it can just be a problem for you. So always make sure that that S is at the end of it. It means it's secure. Never open up emails from people that you don't know. I myself, my personal computer, my business computer, will get emails from people that I don't know, and I just simply delete it. If it's that important or they know me, they can call me, but I just don't do it. Another thing is on Facebook. I love Facebook, but people have got to be careful what they post on Facebook, or what I call brag book, because people go to brag about stuff, and they should be, especially their kids, especially when their kids are starting school. It's an exciting time. I'm a parent. I went through it. Vacations, weddings, all that stuff. What I tell people is do not post anything. Take all the pictures, but wait until you get back home. That's the way I do it myself, personally, with my family. We go places, we take all the pictures just like everybody else, but we don't post it until we're back home. The reason why is people will say, well, I have 200 friends on Facebook and I trust all of them. I know who all they are. Well, the problem is that maybe they have a son or a daughter who's going through some things. And a lot of times this stuff comes back to they're addicted to something and they need money. And they themselves may not commit a crime, but they know someone who would do it. And they know, hey, the Biskups are in Arizona this weekend. I know them. They probably have something that would probably help me out with my addiction, as far as getting something stolen and pawning it off or selling it. And so they'll get someone to show up, and there you go. That's the problem. So I tell people, please take those pictures and please put it on whatever social media platform that you want to, but wait until you get back home. Don't do it as you're actually doing it, because it has led to problems in the past. Back to the first point that we talked about not giving out your personal information, because it can end up people getting credit cards or loans in your name, conduct credit checks on people, on yourself is what I tell people. I've been told, well, every time you conduct a credit check, it knocks points off. Well, I tell people just once or twice a year, conduct one, especially if you do a lot of online business, because you just never know. That's one way that you can figure out if someone has stolen your identity and they've got credit cards or loans out in your name, is by doing a credit check. Also, and I tell this to adults and teenagers alike, nothing that you share privately is never truly private on an electronic device. And I'm telling you that from all my years in law enforcement. I have seen it. I have seen the tears of victims who said they had no idea that people could access this stuff, and they were able to. It's a harsh reality. So please, just because you think it's your personal phone and you're sending pictures to someone else that you know, it's never really private.
That's
And
what I tell
gotta be careful.
I tell my kids all the time, and in our industry, we talk a lot about having a digital footprint.
Yes, sir.
And, and I know that probably one of the apps that's notorious for it is that everyone assumes, like for Snapchat, that image is there and it goes away. But I tell my kids all the time, anytime that you upload an image, a document, anything, you type something in a text message, an email, there's a digital footprint, and it's never completely gone. Somebody can get access to it.
Yes, sir. Next thing, just be careful of unsolicited phone calls, especially when it comes to law enforcement agencies. Law enforcement agencies will not call you and ask you for money. I know a lot of times I myself personally have received phone calls from certain law enforcement agencies, people pretending to be members of that agency, asking me to send them money for fallen peace officers, fallen firefighters, and that kind of thing. Just don't do it. It is not worth the risk. They will not seek people out. If you feel it in your heart, then you seek out one of these organizations that you feel passionate about, and you can give money if you choose to, but don't take an act on it when they contact you. I know that National Peace Officers Memorial has been used. I myself to receive phone calls from the Texas State Troopers Association, and other organizations like that. You just got to be cautious. They're not going to seek you out. And for sure, if they say, can I have your bank account number? You should just hang up the phone. That's just not the way that it works. Appreciate the generosity and the big heart, but you've got to do it the right way to protect you and them. If you receive scam calls or email scams or you have complaints about this stuff, because it happens, and it happens a lot. If you're within the city limits of El Campo, that's the phone numbers of the police department. You can call them. If your identity is stolen, and you live within the city limits of El Campo, you can call them, get a report filed, so then you can contact your creditors, get new IDs, new social securities. If you live outside the city, or even if you do live in the city, and you want to, you can contact the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center, FBI out of Houston, Federal Trade Commission, Medicare fraud when it comes to insurance and those kinds of things, or the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Those are just a list of numbers that can help you out. People will sometimes say, hey, my identity was stolen, and I think it's somebody from Russia because they contacted me and got me into a program or convinced me to purchase something. I'm sorry, there's no way to really seek them out when you don't know exactly where they're from. So the thing comes down to just you being able to file a report saying that you didn't do this on purpose, and that you just need to get new IDs and social security numbers and work with your creditors because you were the victim of a scam or some other financial issue. All right, let's talk about students. In the Apple Store, as of August of 2025, there are 1.9 million apps for these teenagers to search through and find. In the Android Store, 2 million. So it has grown. I did this program a couple of years ago when I was updating it. The Apple store was at 1.4 million, and that was like 3 years ago. The Android store was like 1.7 million. So it never stops growing, and it will continue to grow. So here are some of the social media apps that you need to be aware of and need to check on your students' phones, iPads, or whatever electronic device that they have. They're tinted up. Ask.com, it's where you can ask questions, but it's also been a center for bullying. Down, which is a dating app, contains graphic images and sexual content. Instagram, which is big with a lot of teenagers and preteens too. They share pictures, videos, but it's also a site for bullying, sexting, and strangers. Kick Messenger, text and images anonymously. And the anonymous part is ground zero for bullying, where people can talk about people and not get ID'd. It also involves sexting, sexual content, and strangers can track you with it. Meet Me uses GPS to meet others who live nearby, and strangers can simply track you. Snapchat, which is another huge one, especially with a lot of middle school age students. They post limited pictures and videos, posted time limited pictures and videos. But the reality of it is if someone sends you a snap, you can take a picture of it and then you have it, right? Yes, they get notified of it, but you have it. And it is not immediately erased. And that's something that a lot of students weren't aware of when I talked to them about it. They thought they sent it and within seconds it was gone. And that's just not reality. Sexting, bullying, and images can be saved by others, just like what I said. Tinder combines online dating, instant messaging, and GPS so others can meet. But it's also been a place for bullying, sexting, and strangers following you. Tumblr creates short blogs made of pictures and videos, audio clips. Also, bullying issues, sexting, strangers, porn, violent images can be a part of that app. Yik Yak allows anonymous users to post brief comments about others, bullying, and sexual content tied in with those. So what to do as a parent? Talk to your kids. Talk to them. My number one thing when parents ask me, I think my kids have gotten an app or they've changed since I've given them a phone or a laptop or an iPad, is I tell them, the number one thing that will tell you is a change in their behavior. You know your child. I know my children growing up. And if you know them as to be A, B, and C, and all of a sudden it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, because there's a significant change in their behavior, you need to stop, sit down, and talk to them and look through that device because they could be a victim of bullying. There could be something else involved with it. You just need to sit them down and talk to them if you see a change in behavior. That's the number one thing I tell parents because you know your kids. Monitor your kids' electronic use and limit their time, in my opinion. What Mr. Kocher said in the beginning with the 7 to 9 hours on these electronic devices, that's incredible. That is way too much time, in my opinion. Know all of their passwords. You got to write them down somewhere where they're not going to know it. Check for hidden folders on those devices too, like the calculator app is a big one. Calculator app, you can sell videos and pictures on it. Well, I've never had an Android phone. All I've ever had are iPhones. And I know for a fact that iPhone comes with a calculator app already installed on it. So if I was you, I would get, and you have concerns, get your kids' phones and look, do they have a secondary calculator app on it? Question them about it, and look into it because I don't know about Android, but I know Apple does come with it. So it's been a thing that kids have used to conceal videos and pictures. Conduct random password checks with consequences. I'll tell parents, if your kid tells you their password to their phone is ABCD, well, 2 to 3 days or a week later, 2 weeks later, check it again. Make sure it's still the same password. If it's not, and you've told them to update you when they change their passwords, there should be a consequence to that because they might be concealing something from you and you've surprised them, right?
Yep.
If kids don't like it, take their device away. Now, I would just normally say that as if they don't like it, take their device away from them. But I just saw on the news this morning where in April of 2020, a mother took her 16-year-old son away from him for whatever reason, and he became very upset over it, and he ended up murdering her in her sleep simply
Wow.
because she took his phone away from him. He was just sentenced to 30 years in prison. He's 20 now, and he's got 30 years in prison because of that. And that's just shocking to me, that a son would do that to his mother simply because she took away his phone.
Right.
So, your kids, talk to them, but just know there needs to be consequences, or they're really never going to, do what you ask them to do when it comes to these devices. There has to be that threat. And lastly, is it you as a parent or guardian can use third party monitoring services, and I highly recommend it. Some of the ones I recommend are like Bark, Experimental IQ, MSpy, Family Time, and there's a lot of them out there. I don't keep up with all of them because they change and new ones come out all the time. I just tell parents that before you spend money, do your due diligence on them, check them out, and make the best decision for you and your family. I know YK offers some of these abilities. I recommend them. I personally have used YK myself for some of my personal stuff, and they're putting on this program. So that tells you how they're invested in the community and how they care about you, your kids, and the devices that they use. So that's all I have. Mr. Kocher, I appreciate the opportunity. And again, I'm honored to be a part of this. And if anybody has any questions, just let me know.
I appreciate that, Officer Biskup. I know one of the things that you were talking about what to do as a parent. I was just sharing with you before we got started that, my kids just got their very first cell phones. And one of the things that Liz and I covered in a previous webinar a few months back, we talked about when you give those devices for the first time to go ahead and set up what we did was a technology contract. And here are the expectations that we have as a parent. This is when you're allowed to use the phone, when you're not. We put rules into place like it's not allowed at the dinner table. This is how many hours you have access to it. This is what it is used for. This is what it's not used for. And it outlines the consequences if, the rules aren't followed in that contract. And that contract hangs on a bulletin board in the house, and everybody knows these are the rules that we agreed to. The kids actually signed off on it, and it was something that we put in place before they got those phones placed in their hands. Because what I've always heard is before you give them that phone, you'll never have any more power than that as a parent. They're willing to sign just about anything or agree just about anything to get their hands on that phone. But that's just a good rule from the very beginning to establish those contracts, have it in place, and just make sure everybody knows what the expectations are for both parent and child.
Yes, sir. That was something my kids growing up is at dinner time, phones went on another table, went on the bar somewhere else while we sat down and had our meal. And church was another one.
Yep.
Phones don't go to church,
Yep.
and it's luckily we were lucky we didn't have no issues, knock on wood, but it is what it is. Every parent is different and every student is different. They're all
Absolutely.
unique in their own special way. You just got to communicate with them. If you give them in my opinion, if you just give them a device and see you later, and then you go off and do your own thing, and hours later, and it's a repeat every single day. Us kids see a lot of things on those social media sites, like TikTok. Pretty shocked myself at some of the stuff that I see on TikTok and the challenges that sometimes people will post. I know that TikTok's not the one that said do this challenge, but people see those challenges and they try them, and sometimes they ended up not surviving the challenge, and
Right.
it's scary. You just got to talk to your kids, and all the apps that I mentioned. You give a criminal just a few minutes, and they're already trying to figure out how they can defeat the security on those apps. Those apps, if you choose to have them, that's great. But you should still have to monitor your students and check those apps to see what they're doing on there and make sure that they're not being a victim of something such as bullying, online bullying through them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Officer Biskup, I appreciate all that. And, we're going to shift now for kind of talk to us through some of the practical tools that are available that we're able to help you out here at YK. Keep your home safe, secure in that digital environment. And Officer Biskup's going to stick around with us. So if you think of any questions that you want to ask, go ahead and drop those in the chat and we'll circle back to those at the end. But let's talk about some of these solutions that we've got.
Sure. So I'm going to go ahead and start us out with Experience IQ. Experience IQ is a parental control feature in the Command IQ app, which comes with your YK router. So it's an add-on paid feature for $5 a month that allows you to block inappropriate content, websites, apps, set daily screen time limits. So if when the kids get home from school, you don't want them on their phones until 7 p.m. You want them to do their homework first. Set those screen time limits. You can create schedules, and you can also pause the internet at any time. So you can go and set up a profile for your child with all their devices, and you can turn off the internet at any point on those devices.
That's a pretty powerful tool when and like you were saying, Officer Biskup, take that device away. If you can't actually get your hands on that physical device, you as a parent can just shut connectivity down to it.
Yes, sir. That's a good one.
So, and it's not just about the rules, it's about creating those healthy digital habits. Experience IQ is one of the things that just helps kind of learn that balance while giving you peace of mind as a parent. So, Liz, why don't we talk about Bark next?
So Bark is advanced monitoring without micromanaging your kids. So it's a smart monitoring tool that scans texts, emails, social platforms, and YouTube. They're going to scan for cyberbullying signs, online predators, mental health concerns like anything, depression, self-harm, anything could trigger that to alert you. Also inappropriate content or messages. So it's really something that's beneficial to have on your child's devices to be able to monitor anything from text messages to their activity on social media and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and one of my favorite parts about Bark, Liz, is that you don't get a report on every single message. And as a parent, you don't have to get that device and read every single message at the end of the day. Bark is super intuitive and it picks up on those things. And even so much, it's not just even words, it knows what emojis are being used, what combinations of emojis and words mean certain things, like you said, from self-harm to drugs, alcohol, sexual content, things like that. And it picks up on those. And so the agreement like we have at our home is that if I get a notification from Bark, I get a small snippet of what that conversation was about. And if it's a bigger topic that we need to talk about, then I ask for that device and go back and look through that message history. But Bark kind of creates some autonomy between you as a parent and the child that, hey, I'm not going to go through your phone and read every single message, but this is a tool on here. And if I do get a concerning message, then I'm going to need to see that device and dig a little bit deeper into it.
Right. It gives you all the insight that you need to the data that you're needing without being invasive and without you having to actually physically get their phone and scroll through all those messages. And then also with Bark, I mean, they also give parents tips and tricks on how to then go about discussing those things that do pop up. If a child's having bullying problems at school, it's going to recommend ways to speak to them, just give you a little bit of a guide to help you out.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's something that works, for Android, iOS, Chromebooks. I've even seen some compatibility with online gaming platforms like Xbox and that sort of thing, where some of those involve some chat features as well. So let's finish up, Liz. We'll talk about Arlo here and the Arlo security cameras. You can integrate that with your home network, and it's going to give you some high quality video, motion alerts, cloud storage, things like that.
Right. So Arlo cameras are a really great feature, a really, really great product as far as knowing when your kids get home. If you have kids that are going home after school by themselves, you can monitor when they get to the house, monitor front doors, driveways, packages. It's not only for people with children, anybody can use Arlo cameras. It just gives you that sense of safety and know, you feel safe and secure. Also, they do offer indoor cameras as well. So if the kids are going home by themselves, you can make sure they safely get to the house and get inside without any problems.
And you can make sure they're doing their homework and not playing video games.
Right.
That's a plus.
Yeah, absolutely. So any of those things that we talked about, guys, from Experience IQ, Bark, Arlo, those are things that we can help you out here with YK. They work seamlessly with your home network and don't slow your connection down. And this, I'll say this for both Bark and for Arlo. Those are national brands that people know and trust that brand. You can go to Bark and you can get an account directly with Bark. You can go to Arlo, get your cameras and those items from Arlo. The only difference is that when you get it through YK, you're getting the level of local support that you know us for, trust us with, and we'll actually come help you set all those items up, help you if you have any issues with them. So, like I said, well-known brands that everyone knows, but just backed kind of by the support and service that comes with YK. All right, Liz, what do you say we have our last poll question?
All right.
So let's talk about which safety solutions are you most interested in or learning about? Which one of the ones caught your attention? Is it Experience IQ with parental controls? Is it the Bark monitoring service? Maybe the Arlo cameras? All of the above? Information overload, and I'm not sure. So we'll give this one just a second. Out of those, do you have a favorite, Liz?
I would say for me, probably Arlo security cameras.
Yeah.
I love my Arlo cameras.
I do too. And I will say anybody who knows me knows I talk a lot about Bark. It's pretty cool in what it does. It amazes me how much it picks up. There are things that it picks up on that I have to go Google to figure out what the kids are talking about and why I need to be concerned with it. So it definitely stays one step ahead of me as a parent. So
Yeah, there's a
all right.
lot of things out there.
Yeah,
Sure.
there are. So let's look at those results. So we've got 20% for Experience IQ, 20% for Bark. We've got 40% that's all of the above, and we've got 20% that are on information overload. So if you want any more information on those things, guys, feel free to reach out to us. You can chat with Liz, myself, or anyone on the YK team. We'll be happy to help you out. So now's the time for last call for Q&A. If anyone has any questions, feel free and drop those into the chat. While we wait for you to shoot any questions over to us, Liz, why don't you talk to us a little bit about if you need support from us over here at YK?
Sure. Anytime you need support from YK, whether it be questions for sales or technical support, we have technical support available 24/7, 365 days a year. You can reach us at 361-771-3334. Also, you can go to our website, ykc.com. We have a network status page that lets you know if there's any outages in your area. We also have a live support chat. So if you're having trouble, don't want to pick up the phone and give us a call, you can hit that chat button and get help on your time. That way, if you're busy and have things going on, you're not having to wait on the phone.
Awesome. So we've got a couple of questions here. First one is, can I set different screen time rules for each of my kids using Experience IQ? You want to take that one, Liz?
Definitely. Sure. So yes, you can. There's all kinds of customizable features. It lets you set up rules and easy to manage your household rules by ages or needs. So every child has their own profile under your Bark app, and you can set up your different limits based on the child that you're working with. You may not want the same limits on a child that's 7 versus a child that's 14. So it does let you customize those.
Yeah, and that's true for both Experience IQ and Bark. It's specific to the kid, their age group, what you want them to have access to.
Yep, you can set up profiles for both.
Yes, that's right. Next question is Bark something I can try before I commit to? That kind of jumps ahead on our promotional offer that we'll get to in just a second. But I will say that when you get Bark or Experience IQ through us here at YK, there's no commitment. You can do it month to month. If it's working great for you, awesome. If it's not, you can drop it at the end of the month.
Right.
Let's see. Can I turn off Wi-Fi for just one device without affecting the rest of the household? That's a yes on experience IQ. You've got one kid that has broken the rules or talking back a little bit after school. You can shut just that one kid down. And I think, Liz, correct me if I'm wrong. If that, let's say you've got one kid that has multiple devices, a phone, an iPad, even that gaming console, you can shut down all connectivity associated with that one child and it kills all those devices under them, correct?
Yes, you assign all their devices to their profile, and then you just hit pause on their name on their profile, and it shuts everything down.
Yep, that's a pretty powerful tool. That may even work
It
better than the
is.
fly swatter on top of the refrigerator.
Yes, sir.
Nowadays, it
I
will.
like that. I like
So,
that.
all right. So those are all the questions we've got. Our next event coming up in September, we've got troubleshooting tips, solving common connection issues. We've got a special guest that's going to join us for that one for one of our vendors. But come back and meet us on September the 11th, and we're going to walk through some common troubleshooting tips there. Talk a little bit to us, Liz, about our promo before we close out.
Sure. So, our promo for this webinar is going to be three months free of Bark and Experience IQ, or one or the other, whichever one you choose. You do have to be a YK customer in order to get those services with us. But definitely, if YK service is not available in your area, you can still get the Bark service through the national company. So rest assured. But we would be happy to offer you 3 free months of either of those services to try them out and see how you like them.
Awesome. So if you want to try either one of them out, give Liz or any of us a call. We'll get you set up free for 3 months. And that takes us to our final piece, Liz, and that is our gift card drawing. I've got a $25 gift card from Jackson Street in El Campo, and lunch is on us. So let's spin the wheel and let's see who's going to win it today. And we've got Amy R. That's our winner for today. So Amy, I know how to find you. I will get a hold of you and I will get you your gift card. And with that, everyone, that's our presentation for today. Officer Biskup, we really appreciate you joining us and sharing all that insightful information, how to keep our kids and not only kids, but all loved ones safe online. And if there's anything else that we can help you for keeping your kids safe in that digital space here at YK, feel free to reach out. And we hope that everybody has a great school year. Thanks, everyone.
Absolutely. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.